Welcome back to the Grand Solar Minimum channel. Today is Tuesday, May 29th, 2018. Taking a look at our current solar conditions, we have solar wind speeds at 371 kilometers per second with a density of 3.3. Taking a look at our sun, we do have a lone sunspot of AR 2712. It is growing rapidly and beginning to crackle with C-class solar flares. I do have a couple people that I have in a chat, in our GSM Discord chat. Starman has been talking about the possibility of this might be a solar flare that could be an M-class from this sunspot. So far, not yet, but still it does pose a danger for growing chances for solar flares. I also read earlier that this sunspot had quadrupled, I believed, in sunspot numbering, so we're up to 20 now with this one. Taking a look at our KP indices, we're sitting at a 1 with a 24-hour max at 2. And taking a look at our coronal hole right now on the SDO, in fact, let's just go ahead and take a look at the live action. We see that coronal hole, and we are supposed to see this will be Earth-facing sometime, well, right now as we turn into the Earth-facing of this, we should feel the solar wind speeds of this increase in the next couple of days. So we'll be keeping our eye. Last I heard, I do believe they were predicting somewhere around a G2. It still could come in as a G1 or a G2, but still too early to also tell, as well as this hole here towards the last part of this run does appear to be expanding at the end of this. Take a look at our TSI. On May 21st, our TSI reading was a 1360.689. So hovering right around that value of 1360.7, not moving that much. And 2 journalists were killed today, yesterday. 2 television journalists from an NBC affiliate, WYFF, of Greenville, South Carolina. It was an anchorman and a reporter. They were struck in their vehicle while getting ready to do a story. And obviously the rain there had made the ground saturated. In weeks prior, I guess they'd seen some rain there as well. But Saturday, they'd seen a week's worth of rain in that storm. And obviously, that was the cause for the tree to fall. It's not safe, folks, even inside cars during these types of rain events and these storms. Unfortunately, these guys thought they would probably be okay inside of a van, or actually it was an SUV. So now the storm has weakened, Alberto. And the maximum winds of 35 miles an hour, sustained with heavy rainfall. So, but again, our thoughts and prayers go out to those 2 brave journalists who were just out there doing their job, and unfortunately, were caught in the worst part of the storm with that tree falling on the SUV. We'll leave the link in the description for anyone who wants to check out the stats on this. And lightning and hailstorms claim 45 lives across India. Once again, I have to mention India. They've had up to 250 pass away from severe thunderstorms now for this month. 440 people were injured in the month of May. So just astounding here. 18 people were killed and at least 12 injured in the state of Bihar, where several houses were damaged and trees uprooted, trapping people. In the neighboring state of Jharkhand, 12 people were killed and at least 28 were injured due to lightning. 15 people were killed in Uttar and more than 12 injured in the storm as well, with rain and lightning related incidents. The power supply was disrupted in many locations after downed trees and power lines. Officials added the hailstorm and rains destroyed many crops, including mango, lychee, and banana. A streak of unusually intense thunderstorms, dust storms, and lightning swept through India since May 2nd, claiming the lives of almost 250 people right now and causing huge material damage. On top of that, I'm wondering what's the death toll when you add up all of the suicides that have happened because of crop loss in India due to severe weather and dust storms and hail damage as well to the crops. So just a horrible month for people of India right now. We'll leave the link in the description. And guys, got to be honest with you, the majority of the stories I'm covering tonight are from the watchers. So thank again for the watchers to report this and help get the word out, because you won't see this on your mainstream news channels tonight. 10,000 homes damaged after an M5.7 earthquake strikes in the Jilin province of China. Now, according to reports released by the province's government, more than 10,000 houses have reported damage. The government sent 90 tents and 200 beds and 70 quilts and 500 boxes of drinking water and instant noodles to the quake zone. Okay. Meanwhile, the China Earthquake Administration has launched an emergency response and sent a team of 27 experts to the area. Many people felt strong tremors. Many people rushed out into the streets after the earthquake. Parts of the region suffered blackouts and telecommunication problems, just to add up to the constant uptick in seismic activity that we've seen here recently all around the world. Here we go. Health alerts issued as hazardous fog from the Kilauea spreads through Micronesia. Thanks to a friend of mine in the GSM chat also brought me this article from another channel, but basically saying the same thing here. Higher sulfur dioxide emissions and other gases and particles released during an ongoing eruption of Hawaiian Kilauea volcano have reached Micronesia, some 2,500 miles west of the volcano, forcing authorities to issue health alerts. Sunday, May 27th, that's the report out of there. A haze plume is barely visible on the latest visible satellite loops, but the local weather observers, both Kilauean and Mararo, I should say, in the Marshall Lands, have reported the haze at the airports today. So now we're starting to see some of the global effects of Kilauea, and here's a really good indication here as we take a look at this map. We see all of the haze and the direction it's going into, which is Guam and other areas as well. So, winds are expected to continue to bring haze into the marinas over the next couple of days. However, a trough in the central Pacific is expected to redirect haze farther to the north later this week, thus reducing it. With the possibility of the Kilauea that remains at a heightened state of activity, additional haze events are possible in subsequent weeks. And like I said in the beginning of this, scientists, they weren't shy about telling us that this eruption event could possibly happen for the next, weeks, months. And so far, everything they've said about this event has came true. Powerful dust storms hit Iran, causing near zero visibility and injuring 99 people. I'm not going to waste a lot of time on this because there is always reports of dust storms in this area. However, this one lasted 12 hours. That's not usual. Violent thunderstorms produced more than 400,000 lightning strikes in 48 hours in Europe. 400,000 lightning strikes in 48 hours. Can you say highly charged atmosphere because of highly charged particles, aka galactic cosmic rays, infiltrating the atmosphere? Yeah. A violent electrical storm swept over the UK late Saturday into Sunday, May 27, 2018, producing up to 60,000 lightning strikes in 24 hours. Some areas of the country received the equivalent of 1 month's average rainfall in just an hour. Again, cosmic ray influctuation is everything to blame for this. We have so much more particles, and they're supercharged, folks. They're supercharged. Another story that I'm reading tonight where everyone gets a week's worth or a month's worth of rain in just an hour. And they want to say that it's global warming's fault. Well, I'm going to show you something on that one, too. That one's hilarious as well. The story about man-made global warming just keeps getting funnier and funnier to me. 5 properties were struck by lightning in Warwickshire, and a phone box burst into flames in Dulwich after a telephone pole was hit by lightning as well. Some 17 flood alerts were issued for parts of the Thames Valley, and nearly 1,000 properties in the Midlands were left without power. The West Midlands police said a man believed to be in his 80s died after his car was submerged in water during heavy flooding in Rochelle, some 135 miles north of London. He was taken to a hospital but pronounced dead shortly on arrival. The storm also disrupts flights at Stansfield Airport after its fueling system got damaged by a lightning strike on Sunday morning. The event delayed more than 200 planes and canceled 31 departures and 18 arrivals. Just an awful situation over here. Let's take a look at some of this footage. All this good footage here by the watchers, and we haven't watched any yet. Okay, that doesn't play. There you go. There's your purple sky. We all know where we learned that one from. Another glorious shot of the purple sky. Once again, highly charged particles. So the storms hit an unusual long stretch of very warm weather this month and were part of a massive thunderstorms that swept over most of Europe over the weekend, producing more than 400,000 lightning strikes. Here's the map. No, that is not the color of the fall foliage right now in Italy and most of Europe. That is the amount of lightning strikes in a 48-hour period. Wow. Huge amount of lightning. Yes, here we go. Let's take a look at some of the flooding. This is a common sight we see too much almost every single day from the watchers, from severeweather.eu. The list goes on and on. My Twitter feed blows up with pictures like this all of the time. We don't get hail like this, folks, okay? Here's my handy-dandy circle. We don't get hail like this all the time. And this is almost common every single day. We see pictures like this, whether it's here in the United States or overseas. You know, I told everybody that the Grand Solar Minimum was a regional event. Let me make myself clear on that. It's not so much that it's a regional as far as the temperature drop. But as far as the extreme weather, well, I don't think anybody gets out of the safe rainbow or whatever you want to call it, the Goldilocks zone. There is no Goldilocks zone. Look at this. This is in Poland. They don't see this. That's not normal. Some of these massive tornadoes that we were showing everybody about a week ago in Germany. Massive. These are tornadoes we see here in the United States, in Kansas and Oklahoma. And by the way, we're not seeing that this year. Cooler weather also has something to do with this hurricane season. I don't think anybody thought that this would actually happen, but I'll get into that as we get closer to the GFS. Unprecedented hailstorm hits French winemakers, causing widespread destruction. This is not the first time that the wine crops have been in the headlines, and now from a recent storm that hit the region around 12 local time on Saturday, May 26th, lasted for 10 minutes. That's all it has to do, though. 10 minutes. Hailstones for 10 minutes, and it did damage to their orchards. 5,000 acres were affected, which could bankrupt some growers. Guys, this is life-changing events. Firefighters said they received over 500 requests for intervention, mostly for floods and collapsed roofs. Bankruptcy, guys, that's life-changing stuff. And this isn't even the beginning yet. We're not even technically in the grand, so much debate out there when the Grand Solar Minimum starts. Well, I can tell you what, it sure is declining out there. Leave the description in the, or leave the link in the description. And it's back, ladies and gentlemen, the asshole of the week. This time it goes to Elon Musk. That's right, folks. Elon Musk, his big oil conspiracy theory. I'll read this. This is quick, short, and sweet. It says here, Elon Musk has launched a Twitter tirade which appears to accuse reporters of lying. No, not mainstream media. They don't do that, do they? Or do they? About Tesla, to attract advertising from other car makers and fossil fuel producers. And here is one of his tweets. Elon Musk complains of a holier-than-thou hypocrisy of big media companies in a tirade. And it says right here, Musk said a distrust of journalists was responsible for Donald Trump's election. Well, that's not a really good move. Now you're going to have the big Don on you now on Twitter. I hear he wins a lot of Twitter battles. Musk is not happy with Tesla's recent media coverage, to put it mildly. It says here, the holier-than-thou hypocrisy of big media companies who lay claim to the truth but publish only enough to sugarcoat the lie is why the public no longer respects them. Okay. And here is Andrew Hawkins. I assume he's a reporter. Musk continues his slow transformation into a media-baiting Trump figure, screaming irrationally about fake news. Hope it works out for you, dude. Talking to Elon. And then Elon's like, thought you'd say that anytime anyone criticizes the media shrieks, you're just like Trump. Why do you think he got elected in the first place? Because no one believes you anymore. You lost credibility a long time ago. Well, let's stop right there, big guy. You want to talk about someone who's lost credibility? Why don't you come out here to Buffalo, New York, and ask the citizens of old Buffalo who you are? And you're going to be really shocked to find out that a lot of people don't know who you are. And it's because they choose not to know who you are. You see, the state of New York invested hundreds of millions of dollars into Elon Musk and his company. They were to develop a company called Solar City out here in Buffalo. Supposed to employ 1,500 people. It was going to be the shot that Buffalo needed to help get, economy growth again and good paying jobs and high tech and green jobs, that whole thing about green, And as of February, the factory, now mind you, they promised these numbers within 2 years after the buildings were done being built, that there would be 1,500 employed. And however, the fact remains that Elon Musk has only employed 300 employees as of February of 18. 300. And let's just say that his division, his company, Solar City, it's not quite getting off to the right start that he had hoped for. But yet, he wants to go out and accuse the media of supporting big oil. And let's not forget about Tesla. Now, look, guys, I know there's going to be trial and error on everything. But are you really going to put that much trust into a car where you're just going to let it drive you? I'm not trying to blame the person that buys the car. God bless you for being aggressive and ambitious and adventurous. But I don't have the courage to allow a machine and trust my life with a machine to drive me to my job without getting me killed. I just don't. That doesn't sink in well with me. So when the media does report on Tesla's car crashes killing the driver, it doesn't look good for his company at all. And unfortunately, he just has to come to grips with, hey, you're a billionaire. You're one of the richest people out there. And you have a product out there that's killed a few people. And that's going to get media attention. So you should know better, being the billionaire that you are, for you to go on a Twitter tirade and accuse people of this big oil conspiracy. And that was the funniest thing. When I first got into the Grand Solar Minimum 2 years ago, I was told that the person that we had with us at the time, Lee, was being funded by big oil, and all of his friends that we got involved with our channel were also being funded by big oil. Now, many of these people in the group that were telling us this, they didn't have any proof of that. I did. I know for a fact that nobody that I knew that we interviewed has been paid by anyone from big oil. But it's just a typical man-made global warming conspiracy theorist ramble that you always hear. Well, they must be paid by big oil because they're telling everybody that CO2 is not bad and it's not warming us, so they're the ones that are paid. And that's what Elon Musk is doing right now. He looks just like the same people who are accusing anyone who is against the theory of man-made global warming. So I just wanted to make that connection there to you folks out there. Elon Musk, for a man who's a billionaire, he sure has stooped down to a pretty low level and exposing his weakness right now. I mean, big press is not favoring a company for a guy who right now, in my opinion, who's run this solar company into the ground before it even took off. There's no jobs up here that I've seen, and it's been a big complaint. It's been a headache for Buffalo because they were promised all this growth and economics and all this hundreds of millions. I think somewhere around $750 million. And here's the thing. When Elon Musk came to Buffalo, he actually promised the city of Buffalo that a certain company, and I won't mention them because it's not their fault they got swoggled out of this, but he proposes this whole idea to the city of Buffalo with this other company that was supposed to come in and make these panels, and then at the last minute does an old switcheroo. So all that money they got was not going towards the company that was actually going to be building the panels. So he pulled a fast one before city officials and state officials even had the chance to even look into it. That money's lost now. You hope that the initiative comes back to the city. You hope that you see the 1,500 jobs that was promised. But I'm not so sure how far we want to promote solar without proper disposal of the waste. And I say this because of this. Now, I'm not saying that I'm against solar energy at all. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is there's still things about solar energy that we don't all the way understand. And I think when I saw this headline today, first I thought they were taxing people for the solar minimum, but then I realized the way it's phrased, it's clickbait. New South Wales Greens MP backs bill for minimum solar feed and tariff. So I thought, whoa, what's this about minimum solar feed? What? But what they're saying is that there's going to be a minimum tax for the solar feed that you have coming in to your home. I guess the old tax was about 12.8 cents. Now they lowered it to 7.5 cents per kilowatt hour. And that's all great and dandy, all right? But here we go. We're selling this idea to people on the misleading information that less fossil fuel pollution from zero emission solar energy, that's a good thing. I don't want to breathe polluted air, but this is misleading. Lower carbon costs, improve respiratory and general health, reduce spending on energy infrastructure. That's still false, by the way. Network investment savings, reduce distribution and transmission losses, and low overall fees and charges, because they're saying of a dip. Now, this article is actually saying that they're forecasting a dip in energy rates in the coming years. And I guess if you believe that this is global warming, then you would say something like that. The exact opposite is what happened in Buffalo this year, where if it wasn't for these coal plants firing up in the Northeast, we would have had blackouts this winter back in late December and early January. And Mari and I were talking about this. And this is just the global warming side's last chance at trying to make a buck off of something before it all gets struck down. Because here's my problem with all this solar stuff here, guys. I don't like this mandate stuff. Okay? California, new home builders, you have to have solar panels. Somebody mentioned in another article I read today that they want to see that happen in Arizona. You have legislation being passed in various countries all over the world that is giving people tax breaks and all this stuff for solar power. But here's where I'm against it. Two things. One, I don't know how much lower the TSI is going to get, but I don't think solar power is going to have its value that it thought it would in the future. And two, the biggest part, you want to talk about the reason why they want us to switch to solar is because fossil fuels are more polluting. Well, that's false too. Because according to articles like this here, we are talking about 300 times worse than what a nuclear power plant is. So solar panels create 300 times more toxic waste per unit of energy than do nuclear power plants. 300 times more toxic. If solar and nuclear produce the same amount of electricity over the next 25 years that nuclear produced in 2016, and the waste are stacked on football fields, the nuclear waste site would reach the height of the Leaning Tower of Pisa, while solar waste would reach the height of two Mount Everests. In countries like China, India, and Guyana, communities living near e-waste dumps often burn the waste to salvage the valuable copper wire for resale. Since this process requires burning off plastic and resulting smoke that contains toxic fumes that are carcinogenic and teratogenic, birth defect causing, by the way, when inhaled. So you tell me. And a lot of these companies, Mari was telling me that they're just not regulating what these companies are doing with their waste. While nuclear waste is contained in heavy drums and regularly monitored, solar waste outside of Europe today ends up in a larger global stream of electronic waste. Solar panels contain toxic metals like lead, which can damage the nervous system. We all know that, as well as chromium and cadmium, known carcinogens. All three are known to leach out of existing e-waste dumps into drinking water supplies. This is like drinking mercury, in my opinion. And again, you're saying, well, what's this waste? What do you mean waste? At the end of these panels' life, in other words, when these things are done, you got to send them out. Okay, you're done. You're supposed to send them to a recycling plant or whatnot. The way they break this down is more toxic to the environment than burning fossil fuels. Don't believe me? Links in the description. And Mari actually showed me a few articles that mimic this one as well. So, the asshole of the week is responsible for a lot of the misleading information about solar power. And like I said, you tell me how we're going to dispose of the solar waste, that will fix the one problem I have with not harming our environment. Because right now, it sounds like solar energy is way more toxic to our environment than CO2. Point blank. All right, now let's get to some local headlines real quick before I guys show you the GFS, and we'll call it evening. Hurricane Maria. This one bugs me a lot, guys. Hurricane Maria may have killed more than 4,600 in Puerto Rico, the study says. I don't want this. Good Lord. AccuWeather. What's up with all the pop-ups, guys? Come on. Jeez. Says here, Hurricane Maria devastated United States territory at Puerto Rico in September of 2017. The storm wreaked havoc throughout the island, cutting water and power services, severely damaging infrastructure, and causing mass casualties throughout the island. In early December, the official death toll in Puerto Rico remained at 64. However, numerous independent investigations conducted by news sources and other groups concluded that the death toll related to Maria was between 400 and 1,000. And there was others that also said it was over 1,000. But now there is a new study conducted by scientists from Harvard's T.H. Chan School of Public Health conclude that between September 20th and December 31st, there were 4,645 excess deaths. So they dismissed the official death toll as a substantial underestimate. No one's going to see this story. They put it deep on AccuWeather. What upsets me the most, though, is that, the truth is scary. It takes balls to talk about the truth. It takes balls to reveal the facts. It takes balls and courage. And when you sugarcoat this stuff, like the media does, whoops, we were really off, guys. It was more like 4,600, not 64. This, to me, is dangerous. This is why we have so many people who are so sensitive to a lot of things in the world nowadays, because we have so many people out there pacifying us and not telling us the truth because they don't think people can handle it. I'm going to tell you something. To see this report now and allowing the political banter that was going on during this crisis, the Puerto Rican government pleading for help, crying for help. And then there were certain news outlets that made Puerto Ricans look irresponsible, like the government's fault. And there might have been some neglect in that country. However, there was a small detail that wasn't being told that was the truth. And they knew it, that if people heard that there was this much loss of life, And I'm sure there was over 1,000 people that died from the storm immediately. I'm sure of it. But if people actually heard that horrific number in the first place, they were more worried about crowd control, damage control, alarmists sounding the bell. But I just don't understand, what good does it do us? This is a horrible over-exaggeration, underestimation, whatever you want to call it. Also, the researchers want to say that the number likely is probably around 5,000 and not 4,600. So they can't even keep up with the changing of the numbers here. And I know why they're counting deaths from September through December, because of the hazards. We had power lines down as early as March still, guys. I did a little blog on it on grandsolarminimum.com and talked about how we're still dealing with power lines that are down on the ground in March, that we're still dealing with most of the region without power at that time. Phone poles were tied to trees to keep them from collapsing. I mean, that's where I say that the government of Puerto Rico was negligent by not doing the basic maintenance. So, yeah, huge exaggeration there, folks, or underestimation. Just the media, like I said, no one's going to see this. This is going to get swept under the rug, because if we would have announced this back in December or January, this might have raised some people's attention to looking into other theories such as cosmic raids and the cloud project, and the possibility of cosmic raids seeding our atmosphere and creating these rain bombs and these bombogenesis and these massive hurricanes. And we also know the ocean temperatures have something to do with that as well. We've learned that, and we see it now. Okay, so risk of downpours, flash flooding through the Northeast. I put this up because I live in the Northeast, but I also want to show as well, we're not the only ones that could be seeing flash flooding. This is all tropical moisture coming from Alberto. We should see that here in our area. Now listen to this, from Wednesday through Saturday, we will start getting the more humid air, and from there we will continue to see showers. Here's where they think Alberto will be through Friday a.m. That's a very generous track, as we had it a few days ago. It was doing something crazy. I'm thankful that it's not doing that now. So here's Wednesday, what we're looking at. The showers and thunderstorms in the Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky, West Virginia, and starting to get really muggy here in Pennsylvania and western New York. It was very hot today. It said 84, but it felt more like 90 outside. And then here we see Wednesday night into Thursday. And behind this front, thank God, on Saturday is cooler and less humid air. However, when they say cooler, we go from highs from today in the 84 to 87 range tomorrow for a high of 63 on Saturday. Again, this is another part that they're also looking at, is Chicago, the Midwest. They've already seen some heavy rain this year earlier. So heads up to the Midwest and the Northeast, as we are definitely expected to see from Wednesday through Friday, from the Midwest to the Northeast, we will see some type of rain event. And I'm going to go ahead and show you guys quickly the GFS models tonight. Before I do that, though, this is important as well. I've been watching this off and on for a little while now. And thanks to the Starman, and really everybody that's in my GSM chat Discord, those of you who are subscribed to our Patreon as well, you should get an invite link. If you do not, please email me at jake@thegrandsolarminimum.com, where if you are Patreon, that gets you access. So just a $2 level event member gets you access to the GSM chat. But this site really does help me with my studies, and we've got great people in there, and Starman's one of them. A few others want to remain nameless, and I understand why, and that's fine. But just a really sharp group of people that we have already in this community. But thanks to the Starman, I've been paying more attention to this anomaly here. And I first reported this again a few days ago, last week, where we were below the -6 mark. Now we've seen it go back up to the -4, but now we're on another downward trend. So my concern is the pattern I keep seeing is we go down, we go up, we go down, we go up, we go down, we go up a little bit more. We start to go down here. How much more down are we going to go? And the reason why I bring this up is the simple reason that why we are not seeing, look at all this cooler air here in the North Atlantic. This is the temperature right here in the ocean. And this is part of the reason why we're seeing weaker, so far, I should say. The season is young, but there are a lot of forecasters saying that we're going to see weaker hurricanes and maybe not as many as we thought if this anomaly continues. So I'm still reading up on all this, so I'm still trying to make sense of it myself, but I know that there's a correlation here, and I just have to thank guys like Starman and Rob and all you that are part of this for helping me out and understanding what's going on. So anyway, I wanted to quickly go back to the GFS real fast and show everybody what we're looking at as far as of tomorrow. That storm Alberto is already in the Tennessee Valley. This is overnight. It continues to give rain chances throughout the Midwest on Thursday, and before it finally moves into the Northeast. And GFS models suggest, well, there it goes. By Friday, it intensifies again. We do see some rain, but nothing real, maybe a half inch at the most. So let's hope that Alberto is short-lived and takes a hike really fast. But and after Alberto, we do get a little bit back to normal temperatures here and normal moisture activity. But lots of rain. It looks like it almost goes coast to coast. And here's where I wanted to get to, not just on precipitation, but also temperatures, but just some very odd formations here with the jet stream and the GFS is trying to suggest here in the future. I want to go look at the temperatures because I keep hearing talks about some blocking that could happen at some point in the second week of June. And here we are in the second week of June, and we are looking at temperatures, a little mild, 60s. They were not as low as what they were originally believed to be in the first. Oh, here we go. So that cooler air on the 9th, we thought it was going to be on the 10th. But that cooler air now seems to be a little bit more confined into the corner of western New York and across central New York. Not so much in Pennsylvania like it originally showed in the first place. So, some considerably cool air to come to the area for Saturday, June 9th. And a lot of that has to do with, I believe as well, that anomaly that we're looking at in the North Atlantic. If you look here where the areas are in the green and the yellow, that's also where we're starting to see that cooler ocean water starting to form in that region. So it's definitely affecting the Northeast so far. And yes, we've had some very warm days this week, today and yesterday, and tomorrow and Thursday it will continue. But I'm looking at daytime highs. Look at that for Friday, June 8th, 66, Western New York, 68 in Cleveland, Ohio. Even on, wow. That's Thursday's high, morning temps, highs. Wow. So yeah, I find this is relatively cool. Thursday, late overnight. Yeah, we see some significant cooling here for sure for this time of year. These are overnight temperatures on Thursday into Friday morning, into Thursday morning, but my goodness. So we'll just have to keep an eye on things. Normally Mari is down here with me tonight. She is manning the post upstairs, so I hope everybody in the chat had a great night. I hope you guys got something from tonight's show. Thanks for tuning in tonight. We will be back tomorrow. I think the rest of this week, unfortunately, for those of you overseas, we will be doing 9 o'clock Eastern time. And we do apologize for the delay tonight. That was really out of our control. So we hope everybody has a great night, and we will talk soon.